Hi, and welcome back to English Without Borders. I'm Kayla, your American pronunciation, fluency, and confidence coach, helping you feel more authentic in your American English. Today is day 6 of our 12 Days of Christmas video series in English Without Borders, and I am excited to give you a quick list of 7 of my absolute favorite Christmas movies that are all about American culture. So when it comes to learning a language, culture is a really important part of it, right? We have traditions, norms, food, music, a lot of things that go into understanding the culture that someone comes from. So when it comes to understanding American culture, our Christmas culture is something that is very, very prominent and evident in our day-to-day lives. And a huge example of this can be found in American Christmas movies. There are far too many American Christmas movies to name, but the ones I will mention here are some of my favorites, the ones that I personally grew up watching, and ones that I think would be really fun and comical for an English learner to watch to understand better what the holiday and Christmas spirit is all about in American culture. Our first film is a classic in American Christmas movie culture. It's called The Santa Claus. This movie is from 1994, and there are a couple more that they made afterwards. There's a 2 and a 3, but the first one is by far the best. So this movie has a really famous American actor named Tim Allen, and Tim Allen's character ends up finishing Santa's delivery duties with his son on Christmas Eve night. And when he gets to the North Pole and is there to meet the elves and see the workshop, he realizes that he is now officially the new Santa and will have to start to take over with the duties of Santa Claus. So this movie is about that experience that he goes through and includes a lot of his family relationships and troubles along the way. But it's a really, really funny movie. Tim Allen is a great comedian, very famous. So this is a classic for you to watch if you want to watch an American Christmas movie. Our second movie is called Christmas with the Cranks. So this movie is from 2004 and again has Tim Allen in it. So it's a really funny film and is about the Crank family. Crank is their last name. And the Crank family normally throws a huge Christmas celebration every year for all of their friends, family, and neighbors. And this year, Christmas is different for them. Their daughter has gone away to work abroad, and they decided that instead of celebrating Christmas, they are going to go on vacation. So they are skipping or canceling Christmas for the year until they receive a last-minute call from their daughter about 48 hours before the official Christmas festivities would begin, and she is coming home for a surprise visit for Christmas. So they hurriedly tried to put together an entire Christmas party and event in only a few hours with all of the decorations, the food, and the gifts, the party. And it's a really, really comical situation and scene. So definitely a fun one to watch for an American Christmas movie. Our third movie is The Grinch. And this movie was filmed in 2000. And has the famous American actor Jim Carrey, who plays the character of the Grinch. So if you are familiar with this story, it is based off of the classic children's book written by Dr. Seuss, a legend in American children's books. And this is the first movie, I believe, that was made out of one of his books. So it is about the land of Whoville, where all of the people are obsessed and totally into the Christmas and festive spirit, their favorite time of year. And the story talks about how this character of the Grinch, who is not so festive, based on his past bad Christmas experiences. He tries to ruin the Christmas experience for all of the Who people in Whoville. So it has some really funny parts, some emotional parts, but in general, it's just a classic, not only when it comes to movies, but when it comes to American culture, as Dr. Seuss and the books that he has written are a really fundamental part of things that we grow up with as American children. Our next one, Home Alone. So this movie is from 1990 and is about the story of an 8-year-old boy who accidentally gets left at home while the rest of his family goes on Christmas vacation. So it's a really funny story about how this 8-year-old boy tries to defend or protect his empty house from 2 burglars that try to come in and rob him and his family. So he's there all alone and does a lot of mischievous things to fend off these burglars. So it's very funny. This movie also has a part 2. There is a Home Alone 2, Alone in New York, and it is really, really funny as well. So I would recommend both Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. My next recommendation is called Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and this is a much older one. This is from 1970, and this actually is what we call a claymation. So it's a type of cartoon, movie or animation that is made specifically for kids, but is something that airs all the time, every Christmas, ever since I have ever been alive. So this has been a staple and really important thing for me and my sister to watch when we've been growing up. It goes through the story of one version of where Santa Claus came from, how he came to be, and where he is now. And because this English is from 1970, it does sound a bit older, right? When you hear someone from a couple of decades ago speak. So if you already feel quite advanced in your English, then you could perhaps use this as a challenge to see if you understand maybe an older way of speaking or the different types of intonation that you may hear from this movie. You can find it for free on YouTube if you type in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Claymation full movie. It comes right up and you can just put the subtitles there on YouTube, so that would be a great way to practice. Our next movie is called The National Lampoons Christmas Vacation, and this movie is from 1989 and is about the Griswold family and their Christmas vacation. But their Christmas vacation goes horribly wrong in literally every aspect that you can imagine. It is a hysterical film, and when things go wrong at Christmas time, you will hear people in everyday conversation as Americans mention this movie and say, oh, it's like the National Lampoon's Christmas, or we were like the Griswold family this year. So people culturally make a lot of references to this film. So for that reason, it would be a great one for you to watch this holiday season. Our next one, my absolute favorite and my last recommendation for you, is called Elf. So this movie, Elf, is from 2003 and has the famous American comedian Will Ferrell. This movie is all about a human named Buddy who was adopted and raised by Santa's elves in the North Pole. And upon discovering that he is human, goes on this adventure in New York City to discover himself and where he comes from. It is so funny. I couldn't recommend more a Christmas movie. And it's a personal favorite of mine and of my entire generation every time Christmas time rolls around. So during Christmas time, you will probably hear people quoting things from Elf or talking about it when they're in friend groups. I personally could probably recite by memory half of the movie. So that's how much I love it. All right, so that's all for my American Christmas movie recommendations for this video. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you have watched any of these movies before, in the comments below. I would love to hear about your reactions, how you liked them, if they were easy or difficult to understand. Remember that understanding culture is a huge part of speaking a language. We want to understand the expressions and all of the references that people make to popular culture in a language. So watching these films, understanding just the idea of them will help you catch a lot more references that people make this holiday season. That's all for day 6, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow for day 7.